This episode of MotoringBox is proudly supported by Century Batteries. Welcome back to MotoringBox. I'm Sean McKellar and this is my 2002 Mitsubishi Magna Ralliart. So if you've been keeping up with all the build videos on this, we're kind of down to the end of it, which is the cosmetics. So this car, like most Falcons and Commodores and Magnas of this vintage, the paint on it's shot. So that's what we're going to do next, and unfortunately that's kind of beyond my realm of what I can handle. I would happily give it a shot, but I don't even have an enclosed garage to do it properly and keep the dust out. So we're going to pay someone to do it. So what I want to do is get this car ready to be painted. I've never sent a car off to be painted before, but even I can figure out that there's a lot of things that the spray painter would have to deal with to even get into it before he can get started. And that is to strip the car back as far as you can. So I want to take the rear wing off. I want to take these little wheel arch flares off, body kit. I want to take the side skirts off. I want to actually take the tow bar off because I want to patch up the hole which is in the rear bar as well. So that's really what we're doing today. We're going to be stripping this car back as far as we can, and then hopefully clean up as much as we can and then send it off to the spray painter with all the bits separately. I've actually started taking the bumper off this thing. There are a whole lot of nuts around the inside of the boot here which I've taken out, and hopefully the last thing to release it will be a bolt on the rear wheel arches there. So yeah, let's get this thing off and piss that thing off too. All right, do the same on the other side. This is really incredible. There are scrivets along the bottom of the rear bar, but also tucked up on the inside along the top as well. I think the budget at Mitsubishi Australia's scrivet department must have been huge. You guys actually missed the crescendo because the camera turned off. It was actually this damage from when I reversed into a bollard that's, it had the bumper sort of wedged on there a little bit, so I'm gonna have to try and bash that out as best I can before this goes back on. That was the most fixings I've ever seen on a bumper. This thing probably helped me actually in that rear ender. But yeah, I can't keep it. That thing's a lot of dead weight and I'm definitely not going to tow with this car. As day turned to night, my first task was to try and get this crash bar back out a little bit. And I didn't really care how this looked, but I just wanted to get it out roughly into the position it needed to be. Using a pry bar against the tow bar and a mallet as well. Turned out okay. It's going to be good enough. So next up, I'm going to try and get the tow bar off. And this thing, I tell you what, ended up being a hell of a job. First two bolts, pretty simple. Then I found out there are some additional bolts hiding up on the inside there beside the spare wheel well. Great. And to make matters worse, on the other side, they were all above the rear muffler, making access super fun. So I slaved away into the night on this one, using a bit of WD, and we were slowly getting there. Ended up lowering the muffler a little bit to try and get a bit more access, but this last bolt, I tell you, it was as stubborn as all hell. I had to get a really big breaker bar on it, and start wailing away, throw a leg over as well, and really start getting into it. I tell you, the neighbour's dog didn't like this one bit. Fuck yeah, we're throwing it up a notch and getting the job done. So the crash bar came off at the same time, I ripped out the brackets for the tow bar, and finally we can start ripping this bar off the car. For a moment there I thought the rear muffler had to come off too, but thankfully we could Tetris the thing out of there. Turns out the tow bar holes on a Magna Ralliart have been cut by hand on every single one, and there are no covers available. So I found a tow bar cover from a VRX, and we're just using some liquid nails to chuck it on for now, but I'm going to come back later and use some araldite and also some other bits of plastic to plug up the hole. 15 kilograms. Now to get badges off, I typically use household dental floss, and it is a slow and painful process. But if you're not planning on saving the badge, fuck it. Get a trim removal tool and send that thing to the shadow realm where it belongs. And we can come back with our tasty old caramel wheel and then buff off the sticky residue. Yep, pretty decent. So we're actually reusing this Magna badge, so I took a little bit of extra care getting this one off. So we're taking off everything on this car that we can get to. That includes the indicators, and also these trims around the windscreen as well. And also mouldings. The whole side of the car has these mouldings running down the sides of the doors. Thankfully they're just sort of taped on and they come off without too much of a fight. This time last year, if you would have told me that in 2023 I'd be preparing a Mitsubishi Magna to be painted, I would have told you you're a that you don't know what you're talking about. Because I would never own a Mitsubishi Magna. They are the biggest pieces of ever. Who would want to drive a front-wheel drive large sedan? I mean, come on. Yep, this hole is actually plugged up pretty well. I'm just going to use this little Dremel to sort of grind it down roughly to the level it needs to be, and then we'll come back with some bog a little bit later to finish her off. So the rear bar's back on, looking pretty decent, and we're in the home stretch. Right, pretty much there. Got some extra rubbers and things to take off around the doors and the windows. The rear wing as well is also stuck on there very strongly. I think it's got tape or glue under there, so we'll have to sort that out. But yeah, we'll leave it there for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one, and I'll see you soon.